Hey guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm doing the rapid fire book tag. So the rapid fire book tag is essentially a tag where there are a lot of questions and you have to try to answer them as quickly as possible with the first answer that comes to mind. And also I got new lights. Actually, these are not new. I got them a few months ago, but I always forgot to turn them on whenever I started making a video, and so today I finally remembered, and yeah, they're gonna be in the background and I hope they look good in the video. But let's just go ahead and get started. Number 1, ebook or physical book? Physical book all the way, because I love holding books and I haven't read an ebook in such a long time. 2, paperback or hardback? Hardback, but paperback. But usually with hardbacks, I take the dust jacket off and read it without, because I can't deal with it going up and everywhere, and I just can't deal with that. And paperbacks, to me, sometimes they're really flimsy, and just overall I like hardbacks. 3, online or in-store book shopping? Definitely in-store book shopping. I love the feel of just going through shelves, finding books, finding hidden gems, and just love the experience of just going to a bookstore and spending hours there just looking for books and looking at books and stuff. Because with online, you can't really feel the books. I love the feel of books and holding one and finding out how it feels and how the pages smell and stuff like that. I probably sound crazy, but definitely in-store book shopping. 4, trilogies or series? Definitely trilogies, because they're short and it keeps the story to the point. With series, the story can drag out a lot. It depends on the series, but I usually tend to like trilogies because they're short and it's easy to read. With the series, you have to wait every year for the new book for multiple years. For trilogies, it's easier to wait, the story's shorter, and the story is much more not as dragged out, so you really get to the point in the series, and I like trilogies better. 5, heroes or villains? Villains, definitely, because villains are just so much more interesting, because they have they usually have a motive for why they're evil and villainous, except for Umbridge. Umbridge is just pure evil with absolutely no reason as to why, but just villains that have a dark past. I love those types of villains because it really shows their vulnerability and the side of them that is broken, that makes them evil and villainous, and I love those types of villains. Question number 6, a book you want everyone to read. This one, I'm going with The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This book is so relevant. I've mentioned it in many other videos. It's so relevant to our time, especially with what's going on with these days and with police brutality and Black Lives Matter, and it's just an important book overall for this time, and I really everyone should read this book because it's so good. Question number 7, recommend an underrated book. This is not exactly underrated, but it's not talked about as much on BookTube as some other books, and that is A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. This book I've talked about so much in previous videos, so much, literally the past few videos I've talked about this, and I've talked about how amazing it is, how I would put a trigger warning on for child abuse because there are some graphic scenes of that, but overall this story is so heartbreaking and so beautiful, and I love it so much, and this is definitely not underrated, but a book that should be talked about more in BookTube. Question number 8, the last book you finished. The last book I finished is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I'm going to talk about more in my July wrap-up, and you're gonna find out more about my thoughts in that video if I film one, because I'm always really bad at filming. After a while I tend to sporadically just fade out and come in and then fade out and come in, so hopefully I'll film until I wrap up and tell me more about my thoughts of Strange the Dreamer in that video. But I did really like it, really magical. Yep. Question number 10, the last book you bought. So this one is a tie between When Diplomat Rishi, Strange the Dreamer, and The Upside of Unrequited, because I did buy them in one Amazon order, and that's the last Amazon order, last book I bought, and so they all came in one, they were all one order, so I got all of them at the same time. But yeah, those are the books. Question number 11 is weirdest thing you've used as a bookmark. Honestly, I haven't actually used anything weird as a bookmark. I think I've used string before, I think I've used pens, but nothing really that weird. I've heard people say they've used like their dog's paws and cat's tail, and I don't have any pets, so I really don't have any weird things that I've used as bookmarks, and as weird as they can get is pens. 12 is used books or no. This one, I'm yes and no, because yes, because they're cheaper and some of them are really good quality, almost brand new, and if you get that for a cheaper price, that's really good. But some of them are discounted, yeah, but they are ripped, or they're just, the spine is broken, or there's ripped pages, so it really depends on the status and the condition of the book. But used books, yes, if it's in good condition, no, if it's bad, rip, yeah. Question number 13 is 3 of your top favorite genres. So number 1 would be fantasy, number 2 would be magical realism, and number 3 would be contemporary. Question number 14 is borrow or buy. I have rarely borrowed books in my life, honestly. I have like lent out my book to some close friends before, but buy, I have bought a lot of books, so I think I'm gonna say buy. Question number 15, I hope, is characters or plot. This one is hard, but I think I'm gonna say plot, but the characters do matter. Yeah, plot, but the characters do matter, because plot is what basically is the story. I like characters, but if there's no plot, then I'm gonna be kind of bored. So I'm plot. Question number 16 is long or short books. I think it really depends, because sometimes if I read a lot of long books, it's really refreshing to read a short book just because it's easy, fast, refreshing. But sometimes I like an occasional long book. Like, I don't like short fantasy books, because in long fantasy books it really gives it an opportunity to flesh out the story. If there's magic, the magic system, if there's rules, world, and stuff like that, just to flesh that whole thing out. So it depends on the genre. Contemporary, short, fantasy, long. Question number 17 is long or short chapters. I'm gonna have to say short chapters again for contemporary and long chapters for fantasy, because whole fleshing out stuff, I've answered that in the last question, so I'm not gonna say it again. Question number 18 is name the first 3 books I can think of. Okay, so Hunger Games, Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows. Question number 19, I hope, is books that make you laugh or cry. Definitely laugh because happier, but also cry because I don't cry in books, but I like emotional books too, but I think I'm gonna say laugh. So I've miscalculated, and this is actually question number 19, and that is our world or fictional worlds. 100% fictional worlds, because our world right now is a mess. Mess, like everyone knows it. It's a mess right now, and it's just fictional worlds because it's so much better. I know there's probably like wars going on in fictional worlds, but I would honestly go to a fictional world because I can choose to go to a nice fictional world than a bad fictional world. So, and I can't choose to go into a nice world in our reality. So yeah. Question number 20 is audiobooks, yes or no? No, because I don't have the same focus as if I'm reading a real book or like an ebook even, and with audio I would tune out and just forget the whole story, and then I have to rewind and listen to it again. It'd just be really frustrating and boring. Question number 21 is, do you ever judge a book by its cover? Honestly, I do judge a book by its cover, but I don't buy books just because of the cover, because I just don't do that, but I definitely do judge a book by its cover. Question number 22 is book to movie adaptations or book to TV adaptations. I'm gonna go with book to movie adaptations because I found that in my personal experience, the book to movie adaptations are better than book to TV adaptations, because book to movie film production, they're more established than, I guess, TV. I don't know, maybe I'm just talking about stuff I don't know, but in my personal experience, I've liked more book to movie adaptations than book to TV adaptations, and just, yeah. Question number 23 is book to movie or book to TV adaptation that you have liked more than the book. I have mentioned this in a previous video, and that would be Maze Runner by James Dashner. I talked about how I liked seeing the physical maze in the book as a visual thing, because the maze is so cool in my opinion, and so weird with the creatures that I I was so excited to see how they would make the maze on a TV show, on a movie, and just it was more exciting to see that aspect of the book into a visual representation. The last question, to question number 24, is series or standalone. I'm gonna have to go with series because it depends. If it's contemporary, standalone, definitely. I've never seen a contemporary series before, I don't think. Actually, that's not true. I've heard of To All the Boys I've Loved before, The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I have heard of some, but I usually like fantasy series because it fleshes out the story and the characters. There can't be enough fantasy character development in one book. It just can't. That's really, really hard. So fantasy would be series, contemporary would be standalone. So that is it for the rapid fire book tag. Let me know down below one of the answers to the questions of heroes or villains. I would love to know because I'm genuinely interested. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.